Welcome to Home Buying 101 with Francisco Gonzalez. This week with me, I have the pleasure of having Danielle Escobedo from JMG and Ashley Drozt from Listing Genie. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us, Francisco.
Thank you for coming. So, introduce yourself. Danielle, I guess let's start with you.
All right. So, I run a real estate team, the Escobedo team out of Goodyear. We just recently transferred over to the Jason Mitchell Group to partner with them to help grow the West Side. So, we took on a huge partnership with them, and it's just been amazing since we transferred over for not only Michael and I, but also the entire team. So their way of doing things is just, oh my God, they're really changing the way real estate is done. So very happy to be a part of that crew. And then Ashley is one of our realtors with the team, but she has taken on a huge role as well with us, and she is now managing Listing Genie on my behalf, which is the staging company I started about a year ago. So she's the business manager for that. So we definitely have had our hands full.
Of course. Ashley, tell us about yourself. What did you do before real estate? What got you into real estate?
So I was a dental assistant for, probably over a decade. And Danielle and Mikey were our original real estate agents 7 years ago. She, her home was beautiful. We wanted a home just like it. And Mikey became an agent, helped us with credit recommendations. And 3 homes later, I just wanted to be a part of the team and transition into real estate and also into Listing Genie. So I love just managing and being a part of the team. It's very rewarding.
That's awesome. And I love your guys' atmosphere, just even in the office, just seeing you guys, because you guys are all family. And it's funny because all of you are connected one way or another, but even if that wasn't the case, you guys are all it's just a very family-oriented office, and I love that with you guys. So, Danielle, every week we start talking about kind of what the market looks like. So can you update us on what the market looks like this week?
Yes. So this week, we've actually had a large decrease in active listings. So we're noticing that on both the buyer and the seller side. So we fell about 456 active listings from week over week. So we're at about 12,382 active listings. So which we figured was going to happen. This is what they were predicting, was another decrease in supply with an increase in demand. So now the interest rates are getting back to normal. You'll see more buyers hitting the market. DPA programs are stronger than ever. So we're seeing the buyers coming out of the weeds, not as fearful anymore, but that is shrinking the supply. And then in the seller standpoint, a lot of sellers are now not wanting to list because they did miss the boat on the crazy price increase that had happened over the last couple of years because of COVID. So they are having a hard time facing the fact that they're just not getting as much money as they would have if they sold last year. So every seller out there is like, should I sell now? Should I wait? Are we going to have another huge price increase? So now we're seeing the sellers a little back on the fence, or sellers refusing to sell their homes if they're not getting the price that they want. So I think right now, average days on the market are about 75 days, which is pretty high, especially with having such a large drop in active listings. But again, that's them refusing to sell at certain prices. Or if the appraisals are coming in lower, a lot of them are putting the house back on the market and not selling to the buyer. So we're seeing a lot of that happening these last couple months.
So let me ask you this, because I pulled these numbers from the MLS. When it comes to days on market, let's say, for example, my house is on the market for 20 days, and then, like you said, appraisals aren't coming in like we want. Does that clock restart itself, or does it go back to day 26 if I put it back on the market?
I think you got to have a 6-month gap.
Okay.
And if anyone out there is going to call me on that, I may be wrong. But I'm pretty sure last time we looked that up, it's got to be, I thought it was 6 months, but I know it's got to be a good chunk amount of time for when the house would have to get taken off the market and go back on the market to erase those.
The days on market.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
that's
not
just
a,
always
it's not
been
a
one of my
quick fix.
curiosities. It's like, does the clock reset if you take it off the market for 30 days because
No.
you're trying to sell it to someone else? Your contract pending, or if it just goes back to, hey, day 26, day 27, day 28, day 29.
It's a good chunk of time for that number to reset.
That's always just been my curiosity. So thank you for being on the show today. I wanted to have you on here. Just like you said, sellers are kind of coming out of the weeds. I wanted you to come onto the show and talk to us about how to list a home and what it entails about listing a home. But first, I wanted to ask you, why were you late today?
I guess conjoins with our topic today, but I had a very hectic morning, which is every day in my house. So I also run a homeschool. I created basically the Escobedo Academy. We have about 7 kids in the school, including Ashley's boys. So we run a preschool and an elementary school.
And you have like 4 dogs.
4 dogs, 2 cats, 3 aquariums, 2
Animal
different
sanctuary.
hamsters. Yes. So if any type of mammal needs to be rescued, you can call either one of us, and we'll go and rescue it. So nonchalantly, we've had a house cleaner who's like my family. We've had her for about 6 years. I was explaining to the crazy household that I had to be out at a certain time to join this podcast, and she nonchalantly said, "Hey, so I've seen the same lady ghost twice in your house." I don't play these games, okay? I don't see ghosts. I don't talk about that. Not a big spiritual, just I'm not in tuned enough maybe to see that. I've lost a lot of close people in my life. Never have I ever said, "Hey, my mom came and visited me last night." No, because she knows me better to not visit me. She loves me enough to know after she passed, she leaves me alone because it's going to freak me out. So my housekeeper said, "It's been the same lady twice." She said it didn't look like my mom. She described a lady that I don't know who it is, but I immediately told Mikey, get the for sale sign, have my TC draft up the listing docs. We are out. We are moving. But he is refusing to believe in the story. So I was going to start looking up how to sell a haunted house. Do you know there's a big market for haunted houses?
Yeah, there's a bunch of TV shows on Bravo and all those that they're house hunters that will sit there for 30 days and have cameras everywhere. So maybe we can list your home on one of those shows.
I need one. I'm
Let's do
down.
it.
I'll move. I'll move. I don't care. Moving is fun to me because then I just get to redecorate another house. That's all that is to me. It's a new challenge.
Maybe we can use Listing Genie to list your house right now.
Yeah, and Listing Genie can stage it, and I just have to find someone I had a client once that I never closed on them, but they told me if the house is not haunted, we don't want it. I was confused. I'm not an expert at listing haunted houses. That's not my forte. How do you find a home and clarify and confirm to the client that it's truly haunted? You call the Ghostbusters?
I'm guessing it's probably easier just like more in like the eastern region just because of like the Salem witch trials and all that. And
I know.
just that stuff. But I would think out here it'd be harder to find a haunted house.
I have a newer home. What is going on? I don't live in a historic home.
Are you sure you weren't built on like a graveyard site or
No.
tribal land?
It was old like farmland.
Because like that's the premises of Poltergeist. The house was built on a graveyard.
So my 9-year-old made a bunch of signs that said "Evil be gone" that he was going to post around the house.
I think we should look into what was there before your house was.
We can do a follow-up.
We'll
do
should.
some research and do a follow-up.
Haunted Part 2.
Right. 30 days.
I'm so glad that the pain in my household is going to be entertainment for everyone.
So Ashley, do you believe in ghosts? Because I do.
I do.
I do believe in ghosts. My parents used to have a
share that
ghost in
with
their
her.
house before.
Stop it.
When we first moved to El Paso, there was a little girl that followed us from our townhouse to our actual home, and the only reason my mom got rid of her because she went and got a priest to holy water and everything. But this ghost would unroll toilet paper, and I'm not lying to you. I was probably like 8 or 9. My brothers were a little older, but we'd stay home without my parents. My parents would go out to dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And we would hear someone walk up the stairs. And we're like, oh, our parents are home. We'd go, no one was up the stairs. And then you'd hear pots and pans at night.
No.
Someone was jamming out on pots and pans.
It didn't scare you?
No. Well, I believe in ghosts. And then at the new house, my mom named the ghost Charlie. And at the new house, we had those shutters, and the ghost would move the shutters.
Stop
You
it.
can't explain that. I mean, you can't explain shutters moving by themselves. It's got to be ghosts.
I can't with you.
You guys have a dog? No?
can't.
No
cat?
pets.
No pets?
No pets.
I need a saging, guys. I need help.
So if
can't.
anyone knows this, someone that blesses or sages homes, reach out to Danielle. So let's get back to the actual topic. Let's talk about listing your home
Okay.
without ghosts.
Without ghosts. I know. Is this the haunted market or the non-haunted market?
With ghosts, we'll find out in about 30 days when Danielle comes back.
Yeah. If your house is haunted, like, call Ashley.
Maybe we'll have Mikey.
To list. Mikey doesn't believe in it, so call Mikey.
We'll have Mikey come
Mikey
back and
and
tell
I'll
us the
help you
story.
out.
Yeah.
We'll have Mikey come back in like 30 days and tell us the story about your house.
He already said it wasn't. He tried to calm me down, and he said it's not a ghost. It's the side chick I'm cheating on you with. And I said I would rather it be the side chick than a ghost. And I'm dead serious. I can get rid of the side chick. I can't get rid of the ghost. I don't know how to do that. That's out of my control.
I'm gonna go get you some holy water today. I'm gonna go to the Catholic store and just get you holy water.
Give me something. I'll drink it if I have to.
So let's start it with, I call you and I tell you I want to list my home. What are the very first steps? Do we meet? Do you run comps? What do we do?
Yes. So the first step, if you're ever going to list your home, is going to be the agent should be coming to your house.
Okay.
So I've seen some agents where they bring the potential seller into the office or wherever they meet somewhere that's not the property, which makes zero sense to me because I don't even want to run comps on the property. I mean, I can give you an estimate, but I don't know what your home looks like. I don't know if it has the upgrades. I don't know if it needs some TLC. So I can't compare it with other homes in your area if I don't know what it looks like.
And I'm happy you said that because my mom, I was curious a couple weeks ago and she's like, oh, I want to see what we could sell our home for. And the guy just showed up and had comps for her already. The guy didn't know what my parents had in the house. My parents have upgraded the house interior wise, and of course, no one knows just because everything's interior. But the guy showed up already with a price in hand, and she told me this is what he wanted. And I was like, no, that's not. First of all, that's not enough. And she's like, and second of all, he just showed up with a price already in hand.
Yes.
He didn't look at what you guys had. He didn't look how decorated the house was, the flooring, everything you had. So I'm happy you say that, just because.
Yes.
I was just like, Mom, that's not right.
So a lot of realtors want to go in to a listing appointment prepared, right? So that's always their biggest fear is, well, I don't want to show up in this home and not feel prepared. So they want to put on this, pony show and have their presentation.
Empty-handed, right? They don't want to come empty-handed.
They don't want to come empty-handed, and they don't want to do the work in front of the client because then it makes it look like, oh, well, did you not prepare?
But there's one thing about being prepared and at least knowing the area than showing up already saying, hey, I haven't even looked at your house. Thanks for letting me in, but here's the price.
Yes. So before I even sit down with them, I just ask, hey, can I place my stuff down? I don't really want to talk until I see the home. So the first thing I ask is for a tour of the property. So then the clients take me around, then I get a good idea. I already have the comp search saved, but then I pull it up to see now what's comparable to your property. So I'm actually doing the work in front of the client, but I feel like in order to get them actual numbers, that's what's required.
Well, yeah, but you've already at least researched a little bit just to kind of ballpark it,
Yes.
but you're not going to say anything until, of course, you see the home. This
Yes.
guy showed up already number in hand and just walked in the home, didn't even see the home itself.
No.
So
No. But a lot of realtors sometimes aren't comfortable with assessing properties, right? So they may have never had any knowledge in, construction, contract work, rehab work, like staging, interior designing, like all that stuff that plays so heavily into being able to help a seller, because I can easily, I know pricing like the back of my hand on how to, how much it costs to redo flooring, carpet, countertops, paint, cabinets. I have someone for everything, and I know the pricing like the back of my hand because we flip so many properties and we've done that work ourselves that I can confidently tell the seller, please don't touch that. Please don't rip out all that. You're not going to get your money back. But if you do want a quick fix to raise your value, how about doing maybe painting your walls?
So it's important to know someone that knows about the listing side itself when it comes to do this, do that, don't do this because it won't really add value to
Yes.
you. So it's important to know that your listing agent has the experience to list a home.
Yes.
Not just like the guy that showed up to my parents' house and said, hey, this is how much you should
No.
sell for, without even looking at the house.
No. And I've had clients before where they started doing work before wanting me to go to the home out of embarrassment. Like, wait, let me finish the house and then you can come. And I'm like, no, don't do that because I don't want you spending money that you don't have to. So I had a client that painted the outside of her home exterior wise, big 2-story house. That was a good size job, a pretty penny to do that. When I seen the previous photos, I'm like, man, I wish you wouldn't have done that because it doesn't make much of a difference.
So
If the paint wasn't bad to begin with.
now that you bring that up, what are some things that, like, let's say, for example, that people think will add value to their home, but really doesn't make the difference when you're listing a home?
So, well, that list is longer than the vice versa. So the easiest things to do to your home is going to be paint. That's always going to be the cheapest, easiest way to bring up the value on the home. Because when appraisers go in there, potential buyers go in there, and the paint is shot or it's old and the paint can really darken up a home. So if you got this like strong like brown, tans, yellows, right? We've seen
Different
a lot.
colors, purple.
Different colors. Oh my goodness, that's the fastest way to scare away a client. Appraisers will give extra money for granite countertops or quartz. Quartz is more popular right now than granite, but they do add value for countertops. So a lot of people will leave their laminate and then they're doing all this crazy work to the kitchen, but they're not touching the countertops. The appraiser's not going to give you more money for white cabinets versus brown cabinets. That's personal preference. They will give you money if you put good countertops in.
Good countertops and maybe like a backsplash.
Yes, you can literally get good countertops and a backsplash under $4,000.
Does
That's
it,
a good use
Does
of your
it
money.
add value if, let's say, for example, I've got a pool that's been there for 15 years and I redo the pool?
Pools right now, I built a pool in my backyard. I spent $145,000 redoing or creating this pool, right? And then the kitchen area and whatever. So I paid a lot of money for this pool. I will be upside down if I sold right away.
So don't sell it to the ghosts.
No. So if I sell because of the ghosts, I'm going to lose some money.
And this is the important part of having an agent come before you start doing stuff to give you that opinion. You know, maybe your pool doesn't need anything. Does it need to be redone, or do you just need to update the area around it so it doesn't look old and dated?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you need to repaint the exterior, or do you need a power wash and, you know, some shutters? And
Yes.
that's why the
And
experts
that's why I wanted to
come.
have you guys on, just because I know a lot more people are going to start listing their homes. So I wanted them to at least get the advice from you guys that I know you guys do such an awesome job of doing everything before they jump into spending $145,000 on a pool.
Yes. Yeah. If it's not necessary and you know you're going to move, the appraiser will still only give you about $30,000 for a pool. You can't build pools unless you have some serious hookups and, you know, your Theo knows how to make pools. You're not going to get a pool for 30 grand.
Of course.
It's just, that's not going to happen. So there's definitely some areas that sellers should stay away from to, you know, not throw their money down the toilet if they're going to sell within a couple of years.
Of course. So now that I've agreed, say, hey, let's do this. For both of you, I guess this is the question. Like, now, how are you going to market the home?
All right. So marketing homes right now is really, an agent's always going to take the pride in that, right? So they're going to market themselves of, oh, I can market your house better. And in this day and age, I'm sorry, all realtors pretty much market homes the same. They do. You should hire a professional photographer. You should take care of that for your client, get the best possible photos. The iPhone photos that realtors do, like, I feel like they should never, ever have a client. But it goes on the MLS. Technology is so advanced nowadays that it's going to shoot it across all the different platforms, so the Realtor.com, the Zillows. It does all that for you. We all have social media. We all can post it on social media. We can share it. We can do the open houses. We can put some cool flyers. Like you can only market a property so much. It really, what agents don't want to tell their client is, it comes down to the seller of how this home is going to get marketed. It really comes down to the price. That's it. It's how do you prep your home? How do you make it look as best as possible? How do we utilize the photographs to make it look as best as possible? Does it smell good? Does it feel bright? Like, how are you showing your home? So the marketing is on the seller, not so much as the realtor.
But that's where you guys are also bridging the gap with listing, Genie, you know, helping them market it better.
Yes, that's how you market your home. Not from us putting on this pony show of, yeah, you know, we're going to market it better than Joe Schmo realtor down the street. We all pretty much do the same thing. How are you preparing your client's home to list, and how are you preparing your sellers educational wise and mentally to price out that home? The price is what's going to sell that home. If you list too high out the gates, you're shooting the seller in the foot, or the seller shooting himself in the foot if that's more the seller pushing back on the price. So being able to know, and this is why I push on my team so much, is you have to be the best around at running comps. You have to be spot on. And that's something that I always pride myself on. My husband, who runs the team with me, will not run comps. If you call my husband to do a listing appointment, sorry, Mikey, he does not run comps. It comes back to me because I have learned, like, my comps, knock on wood, are never off. Like the appraiser, like me and the appraiser, we're like spot on. It's like a game now. And my husband's like, "What did you say?" Before he'll tell me what the appraisal report came in at, he's like, "What did you say my homie's home was gonna be at?" And I was like, 350. And he was like, "You were right again." I was like, so that's how you market a home. Not all these flyers and event, all that's just a show.
Balloons.
It's a show.
Like we all
It's a
have
show.
open house signs, yeah.
Nail the price. You won't even need to put on the show because the point is to sell the home within the first 7 days. After 7 days, the home starts getting stale. So for my listings that sit longer than I'd like, it's normally because the seller insisted on a higher price. That's my opinion on
And that's why
marketing.
it gets emotional because I've seen a lot of sellers they'll list because they'll think, oh, my house is worth this, but it's more of an emotional sell at that
It
point.
is. It is. And that's something that, I do respect, but I will let them know, hey, at this price point, it may sit. This is what I'm predicting days on the market. And a lot of times they end up losing more money than if they would have just came out the gates hot and ready to sell because now they're getting these low ball offers because people are seeing their home has been on the market for 2 months.
Actually, can you tell me a little bit about the process that you do when you stage a home?
Well, first we're going to come out for a consultation. So we're going to walk the property similar to, getting it ready for a listing. What typically we're staging homes that are unoccupied. We can do a consultation for occupied homes and give suggestions, and there's separate services there. But, we're walking through, giving a vision, making a plan there, and then that goes back to either the agent or the homeowner. And then we come together and we make that vision come to life. So, whether you want an office, bedrooms, it's definitely an option to create some packages there.
And I like that you guys are doing staging because I think with staging, what happens is like, let's say, for example, you walk in an empty home. A lot of people don't have the ability that some people have that they can walk in and be like, oh, I'm going to put this here, put this here. A lot of people sometimes have trouble kind of imagining what an empty room could look like. So when you stage it and you kind of show somebody an idea of what the room could look like, it helps a lot. But it
Yeah.
also can hurt you because then there's certain people that will look at a room and just be like, oh, no, I don't like this because this isn't this. Like, I'll even give you guys an example. When we were kids, my parents bought a house, and my brother and my rooms were right next door to each other. I got the bigger room because when we went to see the open house together, the whole room had girl stuff in it, and it was pink and everything. And my brother's like, "No, I want this room because this was the boys' room and had baseball stuff." But my room, when we were growing up, was twice as big as my brother's because he's like, "No, I don't want this room because it's a girly room." Of course, when we moved in, everything was white, and my mom repainted the whole house, so it didn't matter which room I chose. But he gave me that room, and it was twice the size, so I didn't complain.
That's funny.
And that's what we want to create with Listing Genie. We want to help that potential buyer envision the space. Sometimes when you're walking into a home that's occupied, it's personalized. If the agent didn't do a good enough job having that client, kind of depersonalize and declutter, buyers, they're taken aback. They see other people's stuff and they can't envision themselves. So with staging, it is worth that investment if you can do it. You just give this clean, fresh look at the possibility, and we don't make it stuffy. It's not lived in, but it's definitely cozy and it feels lived in, but very clean.
No, and I can imagine just because I've gone to a couple open houses where you walk in and it you can clearly tell it's staged and it just feels open and fresh. And then you've gone to properties where the owner stuff is still in there, and some people are just hoarders.
Yeah.
They just have a lot of stuff. They keep stuff. They don't know how to get rid of stuff. So you walk into some properties and you're just like, no, this room looks too cluttered. But if it had been staged perfectly, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this room's huge. So the more stuff that's in a room, sometimes it just doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So, and the hard part about running a staging company is the realtor or the owner, depending on who's hiring us, stomaching the price, right? So they'll say, so I would say average staging home prices probably about 2,000 to 4,000 to stage an entire home, depending on square feet, because it's a lot of work. So we had 2 staging jobs Saturday, Sunday, and I can barely move. We had some guys call out, so I jumped in to help Ashley. It was chaos, even down to the kids helping us yesterday. I was like, kids, you're coming to work. We got to get this house done.
You have to earn your keep.
You got to earn your keep. You want your room, like you got to pay rent here. So it was hectic, right? So it was a lot of work, moving the furniture, figuring it out, and then it's not only just setting it up, but also destaging the property, cleaning, like it's a whole thing. So to them, they're like, $3,000 to stage this home. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm not keeping the furniture. And so some don't find the value in it. But guess what happens when that property doesn't sell and that realtor's calling the owner saying, hey, it's been on the market for a month now. Like, we're probably going to have to do a price drop. Guess what price drops are in real estate? They go by like $5,000 increments. Right? So sometimes, you have $25,000 worth of price drops by the time you sell the property. So was that $3,000 really that expensive? $25,000 or $3,000? Like, let's do the cost analysis. So that's something that I try to educate agents, owners on. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's up to them. But I have seen the value, and I've watched some properties where they sit on the market, they didn't take the staging, and they're having trouble selling the property because people can't envision what to do with this property. So like we staged a home this weekend. I mean, the most difficult layout, the most difficult theme. Like, if you asked me what style that home was, I couldn't even tell you.
It's glass.
I couldn't tell you.
Was that the Saturday home? That Saturday home. I mean, you showed me the picture over the weekend. That kitchen was awesome, though. That just like
it had a really cool kitchen, super cool backyard. But when you walked the property, like just a regular consumer, it'd be like, okay, wait, where's my living room? Where do I put a couch? Where do I put a table? It was weird.
So let me ask you this: with staging, do you also try to focus on certain areas just to kind of sell it more? Like, let's say, for example, that kitchen was awesome. Like that kitchen, I looked at that kitchen when you guys showed the picture, and I was like, that's an awesome kitchen.
So what you do to showcase awesome kitchens, bathrooms, whatever, right? The focal points, you don't stage too much. So you do the opposite. You showcase it. So you don't want to put too much because you want the eye to focus on the cabinetry, the countertops, the stuff that they really spent a lot of money on. But when you walk into the home, the living area is like a bowling alley. Like you could set up pins at one end and just bowl down the living room. It was like, whew.
So it's almost hard to envision, when I first came in to walk the property, I was like, oh, wow. So does the couch go down there? It was empty. Mm-hmm. And I definitely was like, oh, this is beautiful. And it's beautiful. It's eccentric. It's, just a different space, a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe.
So our job is to make sure that spaces like that are staged perfectly to where people come in and they could say, oh, okay. So we split up the room. So half of the back we used as a seating area, and then the front half we did a table with a bar with drinks, and to make it look like more of a cool entertainment space versus an empty bowling alley.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So you said something about the sellers, of course, reducing and everything. So how often should a seller be hearing from their realtor with updates and feedback?
I say once a week. If you're going more than 7 days, land is different. Land is land. That's dirt. But if you're actively listing a property where you're trying to get showings, especially vacant homes, if the sellers are out of town, and some of them may ask you like, hey, can you keep an eye on the property? So we do have quite a bit of those. I would say once a week.
And of course, if anything comes up, you just call them during
the week.
So,
yes.
But if it's kind of just sitting there, not just sitting there, but there's not much activity, of course, once a week. But if there is, of course, more activity than anything where people are showing up and getting showings pretty much once a day, I'm assuming. No?
Yes. I mean, every time we get a showing, we're contacting the owner to get, access to the property.
Sure. So when it comes to multiple offers and negotiations, how do you guys handle that?
I I teach my realtors to present facts. A lot of realtors get too sucked up in the emotions in real estate that they get so like caught up in the emotional whirlwind that the seller's in that they're not able to detach themselves to be that unbiased opinion, right? So I always tell my clients, like, it's not your, I always tell my agents, it's not your decision to make, that's the owner's, right? So they're trying to like, oh my God, what do I tell them? What do I tell them? It's like, you don't tell them anything. You present the facts and you educate. That's it. But the emotional part and the decision making, that's on them. So I always present the facts. I will tell my clients what I would do if I was in their shoes. And just, I've been doing this for many years. I've sold a lot of homes. In my professional opinion, if it was my home, this is probably what I would do. Maybe I'd counter back on this item, but I feel like this is the stronger offer. But it's your decision. Here's all the offers. Here's the facts.
So when it comes to, let's say, for example, we get back to the crazy days where you're getting 30, 40 offers. How do you handle that?
So if we are getting that many offers, a spreadsheet to put the main terms, right? Like when you're presenting 10-page contracts to clients and you've got 20 of them, it's a lot. It's 200 pages. So a lot of agents will print them out, they'll send the whole contract over to the client. Like, that's too much.
Overload.
They
It's
get confused.
overload. They get
They're
confused.
overwhelmed.
You pull the main components out, and sometimes depending on the client, I'll ask them, like, do you want me to just pick the top 3? Sure, pick the top 3. It's too much. Cool.
Yeah, give me a summary, but also pick the top 5.
Right? Or, yeah, so however they want to handle it. Or if we have a client that's very analytical, they may want to see every offer.
Which is fine, but everyone's a little different. But I don't think everyone, like you said, wants each contract sent to their house.
No, because I feel like that's what they hired a realtor to do, is to help get that stress and chaos off of them. So I try to take care as much as possible before it even gets to them.
So she's here to be that vessel of information, right? Like, I filtered and here you go.
So you guys, we've accepted the contract. Can you walk me through the home selling process once we go under contract on the listing side?
Yeah, so home selling is much easier than purchasing. I always tell my clients that. Everything, all the obligations and costs are on the buyer when you're selling your property. So really, you just have to accommodate the inspection and you have to accommodate the appraisal. That's it. Like, you're not paying for anything. The buyers has to pay for both of those services to be done. Your job is just to make sure that your home continues to be upkept throughout the process, right? You don't want to make it look beautiful and then the next time the buyer comes in for the inspection, they're like, is this the same house? Right? So I always tell my clients, like, exactly how it looked when they first seen it and it went under contract. That's the expectations.
So mostly just be flexible those next 30 days on scheduling the appraisal and the inspection, like you said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I was going to ask you about updates or repairs, but we kind of went already over that. So I'm just going to throw a wrench in here and just say, what about the sellers that want to sell and buy at the same time?
Simultaneous closes. I love those.
Are easy. Danielle does it
Tell
all.
me, Ashley. Ashley, tell me about it.
I've taken her through how many of them?
Two,
Two
right?
simultaneous
'Cause,
closes.
yeah.
So tell me about the last one, Ashley.
On the buyer side, not even as an agent, Danielle gets it done. Danielle and Mikey were amazing. I mean, is it stressful? Yeah, because as the client, you're like, oh my God, where am I gonna live? Do they know what they're doing?
So tell me about your experience since they've done it with you.
She, explained it all, right? Everything, homes on the market, and as soon as we get an offer, we're gonna go shopping. Like, as soon as you accept, we're going shopping that night. And we've already been looking at homes. They know what we're looking for. They're sending us what, we want. Find a home, and we just lined everything up. And by we, I mean, the Escobedo team. But
did I ever leave you homeless?
No. And it literally is, you're signing papers at one house, and then you go to the next appointment, signing papers at the other house, and you get the keys same day. I mean, she prepares you for a worst case scenario, right? You're always prepared to maybe stay at mom's house for the weekend, but in my experiences, never.
We haven't missed too many simultaneous closes.
I mean, at this point, you could have just did it at her house too. I mean, with
Wow.
4 dogs, 2 cats.
I didn't invite her, Francis. Yeah, that was
What's 4 more people when you have 4 dogs, 3 cats, and An aquarium.
I know, but I already told her, call her mom. So we did one time. I felt so bad. And it wasn't even our fault, but we were helping an elderly couple, right? Things happened, more on the buyer side, and we got them a hotel. You know what? Twice. One of the other issues was out of our control. Funds were being transferred from out of state. So not the buyer's fault, not our fault. And we ended up having to get them an Airbnb. So that's how much we pride ourselves on simultaneous closes, even though there's 10 million things that can throw a wrench in that situation. But we're never going to leave
with you. That have nothing to do with the agent.
They didn't have anything to do with us. But I just felt so bad. Like a lot of, and I'll ask, like, hey, do you have anywhere to stay before we venture down this road? Because I want to get a temperature feel. So most are like, yeah, no worries. We can get a hotel. We got some extra money. Or no worries. We have tons of family we can stay with. But these clients did tell me ahead of time, I have no plan B. We don't have money until we get the funds from the sale. Like, we're going to be screwed. So both of those instances, we just paid to have them stay somewhere.
Of course. So let me ask this: what happens if your house doesn't sell in a certain time frame?
Just in general, you mean, or in simultaneous closes?
No, just in general.
Well, time frames are normally set by the seller. Like normally, there's not some expiration date of when they need to sell the property. There's very few instances where they're maybe transferring for work, so they do need to sell by a certain time. But most of the time, there's not. And like I said, it's just the preparation beforehand. Like there's no reason a home should be sitting for, like right now, 75 days on the market. Holy crap, that's a lot of time. Like if I have a house sitting on the market for 75 days, I feel like I failed, or the seller's just not being realistic. So a home shouldn't, if the owner and the agent are both on the same page and your agent knows how to comp a property, your agent knows how to prep that home for the market to make it look good or educate you on how to make it look good, it shouldn't be on the market that long. We're not in that market to where homes are just sitting.
Of course. So do you have anything else you want to tell our viewers about listing their home?
I mean, just make sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
list with us.
List with us. Hire listing Genie. And I get it. There's people out there that can't list with us because they have, a cousin that's a realtor, or their mom's a realtor. Like, I get it. There's 45,000 licensed realtors in the state of Arizona.
But they can still use Listing Genie.
They can still use Listing Genie. But just make sure your realtor knows, even if it's your mom, like make sure your mom knows what she's doing, right? Like, because she may cost you a lot of money because you want to use mom who hasn't used her license in 5 years, but she wants to help Mijo out and sell his house. Like, not really the market to do this in. Homes aren't flying off the market like they were. We don't have 30 offers on properties right now. So the agent you do hire,
It matters.
It matters. And, maybe already like just in your mind say, you know what, I do need to stage my home. I need it to make it look, I need a professional to make this home look good and sell it quick. So that's where staging companies come into play. So if you guys need any help or you just want a walkthrough done, please don't feel scared to just have us come give you a quote. And if you don't agree with it or you think it's too high or you don't think you need it, there's no harm in at least having us do a walkthrough, because people become blind to their home. They become blind to how things look because they see it every single day. They become nose blind to the smells in the home because they're smelling it every single day. So normally people can't smell their own homes. Like right now I'm sitting in Francisco's office and his mirrors are really bothering me because they're hung too high. It's bothering me. Those should be hung so much lower. I want to rehang them. But Francisco probably doesn't notice because one, he probably doesn't know how high you should hang stuff. Everything's hung too high. And he sees them every day, so it probably doesn't bother him anymore. So
I wasn't the one that did it either, so.
But do they bother you?
No, because I don't even notice them, honestly.
That's what I'm saying.
I honestly don't.
You don't notice things.
I don't notice stuff in my office, and it's just like you said. You become blind to it. There's things in, and I've seen it everywhere. Like you notice when people get a haircut, you notice stuff, but sometimes like I'll be sitting somewhere that I've been 1,000 times, and then I'll look up at a different angle. I'll be like, "How long has that been there?" Like,
yes.
Oh, it's been there the whole time. I'm like, this is the first time I noticed, and I've been to your office or I've been to your house 1,000,000 times.
And like with my house, of course, I love decorating. And so I have so much detail in my home. And I get so offended when people walk in and they're like, oh, when did you do that? I love that. And I'm like, I did that last year, you a-hole. Right? Because I feel like everyone should understand and see all the details of interior design, and it's like a slap in the face when they don't recognize it. And everyone does it. Everyone does it. I'm like, get out of my house.
She's calling you out, Ashley.
Get out of my house. You did not
I'm-
notice the accent wall I added? Like, you were so
we run at
offensive.
such a fast pace. I can't always, notice every detail. So
I expect them to notice when I
that's
hang new
me.
curtains.
That's me. I'm like, oh my gosh, when did you? And she's like, what?
She expects you to notice
Yes.
when she's
Yes.
moved the couch 2 inches.
Yes. I think it's rude. I
Yeah.
think it's rude. Or when I get home and my
When
area
she said
rugs.
she had to do the floors, I'm like, aren't they done? Oh my God.
Yeah, I almost ripped off a couple of heads when they're like, what's wrong with your floor? I'm like, it doesn't match. It doesn't match. It's killing me.
So Danielle, if someone wants to list, buy, sell, invest, look at a plot of land out in Tonopah, who do they call? Where do they call? Where do they go?
It depends where in Tonopah. Can you clarify? I'm not taking my Escalade down a dirt road. I'm just kidding.
All right,
Mikey
fine.
will. Mikey will. Call
Blythe.
Mikey.
She'll go all the way to Blythe.
I'll get
forever.
lost. I got lost coming to Francisco's office. I can't show land in the middle of nowhere. I'll never find
She
it.
doesn't know how to navigate without Siri. So Siri's her homegirl. So
Siri is my homegirl, but she needs to give me better updates on when to turn. I feel like it's too quick.
it's too delayed.
It's
It's
too
been like
delayed.
that since the beginning, though. It's like
I-
you're gonna turn in now.
I need more signals because I get lost everywhere. But if you need any help,
where can we
with-
reach out to you?
So you can message us at the Escobedo team. You can message us at Listing Genie on Instagram, Facebook. You can give us a call, 602-321-9796.
And
Send
is-
smoke signals.
Is it the same number for Listing Genie, or is there a different number for Listing Genie?
You can call mine. It's fine. I'll route you. I'll reroute you.
So, of course, thank you guys for being on the show. And if you guys have any insurance questions or any insurance needs or have any other questions for these lovely ladies here, of course, reach out to us or reach out to them on their socials. But thanks for being on the show today, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Francisco.
And by the way, we're having the update for Haunted House in about a month, so look out for that.
We're just going to create a whole new show around that.
Haunted properties in Arizona.
Yes.
We'll let you be the host.
Okay.
All right.
gonna
Well,
be the
thank you,
listing.
and we'll see you guys soon.